they determine to do it. So it's not necessarily, hey, you determined it later, we're not going to get our money. They will retroactively pay you up to that date. Trying to think what else is going on that we could talk about. So of those projects, how many? Let me have Mark stand up on. I'm going to have Mark stand up on the individual projects, and I'll go into the rest of the debris removal because that's the biggest issue. Some things in IA.
Okay. We actually have been doing a lot of culvert replacement funding. There's the what they call Category B, which is it pays for the highway crews to go out at the beginning of the storm while while the debris was still fresh and cut it and push it off to the side, and we put in the reimbursement funding for that. We have a number of roads sort of on the other side of the town from the streams that have to do with washouts on the side. Your highway crew has really been doing a great job, and they've been doing it very economically, for you. So so we're in the process of putting those. There are 15 road-related projects. There's one emergency protective measures project, and then of course we have the two big debris projects that we're working on. So those are all finishing up, and those will be turned over to FEMA. Out of the road projects, there is one large project, and FEMA is writing that themselves. So that one is over $63,000, but all the rest of them are just under. Okay, so that money will be, or that paperwork will be processed. FEMA typically we write them, but FEMA checks 20% of them, make sure that we didn't do anything that wasn't to their liking, and the rest of them go in, and you should be getting getting funding for that pretty rapidly.
By bringing us in, I'll come right back to it. We wrote your small project worksheets for you. A project worksheet is basically FEMA's grant form. It lays out the scope of work, what the damage was, what you're going to do, what the cost is. And on small projects, they'll validate 20% of those. If those are good, they pay you the money. It's the quickest way to turn around and get your money in a disaster small projects that a town does. The large project, which is the road project, we help FEMA. It will be written, the scope of work. It goes through a whole bunch of processes. What?
One road.
Haver Road.
Yep.
That will go through the FEMA process. That will take quite a few months to get through and obligated, and finally the money come back to the community. So we're trying to keep it do as quickly as possible, get in and out of here so you don't have an expense related to us. Some of our cost is offset by FEMA under a FEMA policy, but we want to make sure we wrote it, got in, get out, and you get your money as quickly as possible. So that will be turned over to FEMA and put in their system probably next week. Yes?
You have the $1.6 million, how much is earmarked for the stream debris?
None of that is debris. I'm going to come back to that one.
Okay.
So those are your public assistance projects. I'm going to come back to debris because I know that's the most contentious issue in the town, and there's the biggest issue in the town. Individual assistance. I will provide you all, don't dare do it, but I will provide all of you my cell phone number and my email. If you have a question and an issue personally related to individual assistance, if you don't want to go through Bert or you have other questions, I will let you give me a call or an email, and I will try to either answer it for you or try to match you up with a FEMA person to try to shortchange it. We've done it for a few people in town already. If you want to talk to the IGA, which is Intergovernmental Relations guy, I will let him give his number and email if he wants to, but I'm not going to make him do it. Okay, my cell phone number, for those of you who have a pen and want to write it down, 202-812-9763. 202-812-9763. My email is dcraig, C-R-A-I-G, D as in Dan. D as in Dan, Craig, C-R-A-I-G, at Tidal, T-I-D-A-L, Basin, B-A-S-I-N, -gc.com. T-I-D-A-L, Tidal, B-A-S-I-N. Any of you that have been to Washington, D.C., the Tidal Basin, that's what it was named after, -gc.com. I'll give you my card if you want my card. It's all on my card.
Yeah.
So for any of you that have individual assistance questions related to your own personal issues, if you want to give me a call, if you want to relay them to me, I'm more than willing to answer those questions. If you have any right now, I'll answer those questions too. Sir?
When you do this debris removal, will you come under the jurisdiction of the DEC?
Let me get into that right now. We'll jump right into the brief. Oh,
I got one question first. The 1.6 million
yes.
that you already done on the PAs, PWs.
The estimated, yep.
We're on the hook for 12.5% on that also, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
You are on the hook
Just so
for,
everybody understands.
other than individual assistance.
Right.
Individual assistance, the state is on the hook for 25%. That does not come back to the community. You never see that. Anything related to public assistance program, FEMA's public assistance program, repairs for town-owned property, debris removal, overtime, all that, you're on the hook at this point for 12.5%. If this statewide damage is so overwhelming, that cost share may get changed down the road, but at this point, you're on the hook for 12.5%. Yes?
Let's talk about the DEC.
We're gonna get.
What is the debris removal include? Does that mean just removing the?
Let me get into all of the debris. Any individual assistance questions? I'm gonna take off this jacket because I know this is. All right, debris removal. Yep.
As you talk about debris removal, could you also be sure to address the shared access piece?
I will.
Because we're under that umbrella, being that there is no direct damage to our home, but our access is threatened.
Your access to the streets.
No, to
your home.
to our home.
Oh, you mean the bridges?
The bridges.
Okay, let me talk about who has the damage. Who has damaged bridges? I know Martha's here, so I know she does. Talked to Martha 1,000 times about it. Bridges is under the individual assistance program at this point. FEMA has paid some of you a monetary value to replace the bridge. Don't yell at FEMA for this. I also ran this program. Don't yell at me for this. FEMA has a legislative cap on how much they can give you as an individual. It is $30,000 and change, correct? Correct. They cannot give you any dollar over that by law in cash assistance. The bridges, which are go over the streams, which are your personal property, is the most they can give you if you're eligible. It has to be eligible for individual assistance in those bridges. It has to be your primary residence. You can't rent it. It can't be your secondary residence. It can't be something that you're renting out. It has to be your primary residence. So now I know in Martha's case, for a second somewhere. She's hiding. That is access for 4 homes. They have an easement for the 4 of them. They share in the cost. All 4 could get $30,000. I believe 1 is not a full-time resident there, so they're not eligible. So if you have that bridge issue, if you want to come up to me afterwards, we can talk about that, but that is the most FEMA can give you on a bridge. There are questions whether FEMA, and they have done this in the past. West Virginia is a classic place of this similar type thing, where they have picked up the bridge under public assistance because of the public emergency it may have by blocking the stream, but replacing it is under individual assistance program, so they're still capped. So it doesn't help you that much by picking it up in the PA program. Yes?
What if somebody lost a bridge that also had house damage? Could they?
The most they can give you is $30,000.
It's the whole thing.
Cap. There's nothing to do. Now, if you had some of that in Irene, and you may have had some more damage in Lee, Tropical Storm Lee, which was a week later, 2 completely different storms, you're eligible for $30,000 for each storm. So they are taken completely different, and this county was declared for Lee and for Irene. So if you had damage and improved damage in both storms, then you're eligible. And that actually give Phil Parr, who's the FCO, all the credit, FEMA all the credit. They shut off Irene before Lee came here so that you would have potentially that eligibility. There's a lot of storms in New York. Classic in the past, New York has combined storms and into one, what they call system, weather pattern, weather system, and just have one declaration. And this one, they cut it off for the benefit of you as individual homeowners.
I just want to make this clear in my mind. So that means if somebody's bridge was damaged during Irene, and then when Lee came along, wiped it out,